powered by Riverside FM. Hello and welcome to the very first episode of CEO Chairside. I am really excited that you're here, and I don't expect very many people to be here as we just kick off the first of what will become a long project for me. It's very important to me that I connect with my profession as I get further along the journey and really fulfill what I feel moved to do to connect with my colleagues and help them along the way. This name came from this idea that, being CEO chairside is really blending clinical plus business leadership. There's so much that goes into that. I often talk about the E-Myth from Michael Gerber and how we have these three roles where we're a clinician, but guess what? We have to be a manager and then we have to be an entrepreneur. And it's like a three-legged stool. If we don't have all three of those equally developed, then things really are pretty imbalanced. And so really that's what we're going to look at is how we can blend all the pieces together to not only be more profitable, but to be more fulfilled in this very demanding but rewarding profession that we're a part of. So this podcast is really for dentists and every stage of life, owners, future leaders looking just to grow smarter and really just looking for opportunities. I'm a big believer in the concept of gathering pearls. If you've ever heard me speak before, I often talk about this, but it's so important that we realize when you're going down the beach, you don't find a pearl necklace laying in the sand. That would be a pretty cool experience, but it's just not the way it works. The reason a pearl necklace is so valuable is because the pearls are formed and gathered one at a time. And it's really that collection of pearls that makes it unique and priceless in many cases. And so it's much how our life is. It's really how our practices end up being is there's no single pearl necklace. There's no answer in any course, podcast, book, doesn't matter. We gather pearls along the way. And as we gather pearls, we put together something that's really special and really valuable. And so that's what we want to do is really look for pearls. And the way this is going to work as a podcast is we're going to do this twice a month. I will do a podcast. It'll be short, fairly to the point. We're going to hone in on very specific topics as we do that. Those will be about 10 to 12 minutes long. I don't want to bore anybody to tears. I want to get right to the point. And then we're going to do one a month where we have a conversation with somebody else that's been in dentistry and has walked down this road. And we're going to explore their journey and see what pearls we can gather from so many of our colleagues. And if you're interested in being part of this and you'd love to tell your story or share any of the pearls that you've gathered along the way, please feel free to reach out to me. I'd love that. It'll just be a great conversation and something that you can provide to your colleagues as well, just with your story. So I got into dentistry by growing up in a family that relied on dentistry. My dad was a dentist. He was the first in his family. His parents were Italian immigrants and they had homesteaded in Washington State. And he was the first to go to college in the family, which is a pretty big deal. And he went to the University of Washington, came back to that home area and set up a practice. And so I grew up seeing the benefits of dentistry and really being a part of it, sometimes having to go down to the office to help out. And so I went on to college, the University of Washington, went into psychology and then into dental school there at UW. And then I spent 4 years in the US Navy and I was with the Marines at Parris Island and then 3 years at Naval Air Facility at Sugi with the squadrons for the aircraft carrier based in Japan. And so that's how I got into dentistry. And it was a natural path for me to go. And so I had a pretty good idea of practice ownership. At least I thought I did from the outside. But I think as we all experience as we get into dentistry, that it's a lot more complex than what we think. And in today's world, it's even more complex. And so I committed myself after I left the Navy. I went back to my dad's practice. I was an associate for a couple of years. And then I bought the practice from him. And he worked as an associate for me for a number of years before I brought in another associate who then became a partner and eventually bought my practice in 2022. And so early on in that ownership process, I understood that there's a lot that I needed to learn And so I committed to business coaching in 2 different programs at the time, and it was a big investment for a young dentist, but when I look back, it was fundamental to the 300% growth that we saw over the next few years and our ability to quadruple hygiene and beyond and have a very relationship driven practice at the same time. And along the way, there was definitely moments when I felt that I was in danger of burning out, that I didn't know if I could do this for much longer. And there were important points in that journey that I think we'll be able to reflect on together with in my experience, but also in the experience of others of our colleagues. As I got further down the road, there was a passion that I had to write, to just produce content. And I wasn't sure exactly how to do that. So I went to a writer's workshop. And soon after, I realized that I might do a pretty good job writing about dentistry. And so I had a friend that was a CEO of a software company, pretty much a startup at the time. I became the content director for that company. And then it grew to the point that I still contributed up until they sold. They were acquired by a larger company, but I couldn't run the whole content program. But I had a lot of great experience in that journey. And I started to see the profession from outside the profession too, looking in people that were trying to serve the profession and what needs they were seeing. And so my interest in the business of dentistry continued to grow after having done the coaching programs early in my career, building this practice, always trying to innovate and integrate new concepts and just get better and better. I just started to see more opportunities that could take place outside the operatory. And so I got into a lot of projects, a lot of side gigs in a sense. I consulted with many big companies like Colgate and Sensodyne and worked with currently with Quip and Method Pro and DDS Rescue. There's a number of companies that I've been privileged to be involved with. And at this point in time, I work very closely with the leadership. I'm on the leadership team at a company called Method Pro, and we provide dental marketing, but we also provide practice support, and we really work hard to try to see dentistry from the inside and to tie profitability and fulfillment to all the efforts that we have and to make that the top line starting point. And those are concepts that we're going to want to explore as we go down this journey, because I'm a firm believer that there are really two pillars in dentistry that are so critical. One is profitability, and the second is fulfillment. They stand side by side, and we can't ignore one or the other. Not and one won't make us help us be successful without that other. And so we have to put them together. So I'm privileged to have known some fabulous people over the years and be connected with not only an incredible team in my office, an incredible group of patients, but also so many resources in and around this profession over the last few years. I mean, the projects that I'm working on. And so, really, I want to just help owners build these profitable, sustainable, and really life giving practices. And that's what will make this different is like, let's just be real. There's no fluff. Let's talk about the subjective issues and the objective issues. We can get into things that will make us more profitable, but let's also talk about the things that are going to make us more fulfilled and that can keep us going down this journey that we're on. So, as I mentioned, going forward, we're going to do a couple of these a month. One just solo, a little bit more in depth on topics like this, but also one dentist interview. And I'd love it if you'd reach out. And we're going to cover every topic that needs to be covered, from that profitability to team building to culture to staffing, unscheduled treatment challenges, case acceptance, that growth without burnout, the life balance. There are so many parts to this profession that are easy to overlook when we have our head down in the operatory. And so I just really look forward to sharing that with you. So, whether you're in the process of scaling up a practice, I've worked with dentists that are starting from scratch, and I admire them for their courage and their willingness to learn. If you're there, or you're starting to scale up your practice, really get it going, maybe you have aspirations of building a second practice, a third practice, acquiring multiple practices. There's so many options today. Maybe you just need to clean up your practice. I'm a big believer in incremental improvement, 1 degree shifts, those atomic habits. And that is just the key to getting to where we want to go. Maybe you just want to get your time back. Maybe you just want to feel energized and alive. I'm just glad you're here. And I look forward to talking with you again soon. And the next time we get together, I'm just glad you're here. So keep it. And I'm excited the next time that we get together here in a couple of weeks, we're going to have a talk with a really good friend of mine, Dr. Amanda Tavaleris. She is a COIS mentor. She had a fabulous practice in Seattle, did exceptional dentistry. She's been a growth coach, business coach, and she's just a fantastic human being. So I look forward to bringing her on next time and continuing the conversation. So I'll see you then.